have a 95 Eagle Talon TSI, all-wheel drive. I got it with a complete Apexi N1 exhaust, has an intake on it, has Evo 316G turbo, a new radiator, wheels, rims, yeah.
It's a 94 Lexus SC300, and right now it's actually bone stock because I spent too damn much.
I drive a 2001 Mercury Cougar ZN. It has a new intake, it has new rims, new fenders, a new muffler, and a bunch of visual modifications.
It's a Ford Focus, and I only have a couple minor modifications to the exhaust, intake, and my shifter.
Love modified cars because it's fun to go fast, and I love hearing the noise of the exhaust.
The outcome, seeing what happens after, not just doing it to look cool, but like performance-wise.
I enjoy modifying my car because it allows me to express myself through my car, to show my personality through the modifications that I do to my car. It's like being creative, like music or drawing, but with car modifications.
It's not dangerous to others if you're not stupid about it.
I think modifying your car isn't dangerous to others unless... Give me a second. No, it's not at all. I think just because we modify our cars and make them look nice or go faster, people shouldn't judge us and think we're bad or dangerous drivers.
I don't think modifying your car is dangerous. I mean, if you do something wrong, yeah, it can be dangerous. But no, not really. I wouldn't consider it dangerous.
You're not more likely to speed, like I said, unless you're stupid about it.
Having a modified car doesn't really make you more likely to speed because, like, sure you... It really does, though. It does. Depending on how you use it, just because you may have a fast car doesn't mean you always need to be, like, driving fast everywhere and speeding. Like, you can take it easy. Just because you have the power doesn't mean you need to use it.
Having a modified car doesn't make you more likely to speed because if you speed, chances are you're in a habit of speeding all the time. So whether your car is modified or not, you're going to speed. So it depends on the person driving the car, really.
I don't think a modified car would make me want to speed anymore because I do it either way.
I guess it all depends on who's behind the wheel, you know, depending on what type of car and what type of modifications that you're doing to it, and the type of driver that, you know, the personality of the person that owns the car would depend on that.
I don't necessarily think that the modified vehicle makes somebody speed. I think that the person makes the decision whether or not they modify the vehicle. I think I see certainly in younger drivers, people that modify their vehicles want to drive them faster so they can see how they perform. There's a time and a place for everything. They built the racetrack so people could go fast. They built the road so people could travel.
I got pulled over the other day in Biddeford because my exhaust was too loud when I was passing a cop.
I haven't had any trouble getting pulled over yet now, mainly because I drive like a granny.
Not yet, no.
No, actually, my last car was a Celica and I had like blacked out taillights, but I didn't get any trouble with that. That was fine. I didn't really care, I guess.
My opinion on laws against modifications, I think some of them are realistic. Obviously having an exhaust is like a pretty good law, because if you don't have an exhaust it just sounds like shit and it's really bad for the environment.
I think about like laws with modifying cars, it's like, to me they're kind of useless because people are going to do it anyway for the most part.
I think laws against modifications are a little over the top. I mean, with the exhaust law there's a fine line, but obviously you can't not have an exhaust at all. But when it comes to like laws like your car can't be any lower than 3 inches off the ground, I think that's ridiculous. Nowadays stock cars come lower than that, and you're not allowed to have a turbo on an aftermarket turbo on a car that doesn't come with a turbo. I think things like that are a little ridiculous.
My opinion on laws are that they're too strict, because can't have an aftermarket exhaust, can't do really anything with it.
you know, I agree with all of it. Some of them, like window tint regulations, I think is something I would disagree on, I guess, because other states allow it and ours doesn't.
Well, I mean, all vehicles need to conform to inspection standards. You know, society has rules for a reason, and that's so people can sleep at night, or emissions aren't, you know, spewing into the air from having a modified vehicle. I agree that vehicles should conform to standards, and that we shouldn't modify from those standards unless it improves safety.
My job at PAPE is an auto technician. Been there for 7 years, combined of 9.
I've been a deputy sheriff for 13 years.
Modifications, depending on what they are, as long as it's really not a safety issue, I don't see a problem with it. And I think it kind of makes it's a good hobby to get into, I believe.
I think that car modification laws and regulations are important because without the laws and regulations on vehicles, you could modify any vehicle to any size or dimension, and it's dangerous because if all cars don't conform to the same standards and somebody was involved in a crash, it could certainly injure them and or take their life.
As far as safety issues go, they can be problems.
We see modified cars, and we do occasionally have to address the issues, but overall we don't have a huge problem in York County with modified vehicles. But when we see them, we certainly address them.
It boils down to safety issues, you know. You don't want stuff falling off, and you know, depending on what they are for modifications. I mean, specific stuff. A lot of stuff that we see is okay when it's properly done.
I would have to say the most common modification I see on the road is usually wheels. A lot of people will put wheels on their vehicles that don't conform to standards, and or they don't meet the tire size requirements for the vehicle they're driving.
The most common, I believe, would be four-wheel drive vehicles being lifted. Exhaust work.
There are laws that I certainly, I don't want to say I disagree with, but I think are kind of frivolous. But I don't make the laws, I just enforce them.
Exhaust laws where they don't allow anything louder than factory nowadays, I think is a little over the top. But, depending on decibels, I think that they should allow custom exhaust work as long as it's done properly.
Modifications are just another form of expression, and it brings people together. I met a lot of my friends that I have through cars, and it's just a great thing to do. It's fun. You meet people. Gives you good lessons you can use throughout life. Problem solving. I just think it's a good thing to do. It's fun.
Well, I think it's a good hobby to get into. And if it's done properly, it can be fun and gives you experiences and stuff in categories that would teach you skills to do other things along the way.
I think that overall we have modification laws for a reason. That's for everybody's safety. The Highway Department, the Department of Transportation in Maine, and certainly vehicle manufacturers, they make laws so that vehicles all conform to the same bumper heights, door heights, wheel heights, so that if you're involved in a crash and you don't have a modified vehicle, the crash impacts are taken in the safety zone, such as the bumpers, the doors, where the airbags are going to deploy. If you modify a vehicle, it changes those heights, and so you could be driving down the road and you spin out, and there's a truck that's modified that's sitting higher than your vehicle. It could come right straight through the door and kill somebody or potentially injure them. I think that we have the safety standards for a reason, and if we're going to modify a vehicle, it should be a modification that makes the vehicle safer. Obviously not less safe.
All right. Do you think having a modified car makes you more likely to speed? Why or why not?
No, because I do it. No.